Part 2, monkey business. What is this monkey business that I'm talking about? It's a horrible story, actually, in my opinion. It happened on my street. I don't want to say if it was one of my children or a bunch of the children. On the street, there was a brown UPS bus coming down our street. Good morning. And this brown UPS bus was frequent tour of my street. And it happened to be that the person in the van who was driving the truck was dark-skinned like the van. Okay, so it's a very unfortunate incident that the children on this neighborhood, the UPS doors are open, even in like -20 Celsius. The doors will be open on the UPS because the guy's got to get in and out. Good morning. So the guy's got to get in and out of his brown truck. So the doors are open. He hears what's going on in the street. He hears the word on the street. What's the word on the street? I'm not saying that this is good, but this is what happened. The kids were saying monkey wagon or monkey truck or I don't know what, something crazy like that. The driver, like the next week or next year, I don't know, the next day or something like that, pulls in my driveway when I'm parked there. Blocking me in. Comes out screaming at me. Screaming at me. What did I do? I didn't do anything. He's telling me, like, very angry. I think he was pointing with his finger. It was a bit intimidating, yeah. And he tells me what happened. I don't know. It wasn't that day. It was like, or maybe they always did it. I don't know. We grew up with racism where I grew up in, right? A little bit, but just by language, not by idea. We had no idea what it meant. It was just a boogeyman, Incidentally, that is one of the ways they would portray Jews in Nazi Germany. Well, so he's blocking me in. I had to go. I had to catch a minion. I'm going to be late for the minion. And this guy blocked me in. And then he gives me his reason. So I can't get out. So he insists on me hearing him out fully. I'm in a rush. No, you got to hear me out. And he tells me this. And I apologize profusely. But why was he yelling at me? Because it's my job to bring up my kids on my street, right? Okay. But presumably one or two of them were my children. I don't know. I don't remember. So the concept that's underlying why he's yelling at me is mentioned in the Gemara. In the Siyum of Maseches Sukkah, it speaks about this concept, whereby a child's upbringing reflects their parents. So the presumption in that scenario was that I was imparting that chas v'shalom to my children. I'm responsible for what they say. I mean, there's collateral transference of behaviors and qualities, personality traits also. That's the shchenim. We're going to talk about that too. When you have a neighbor, what do we say? No. Tzadik, shchenai. It's good for the tzaddik, it's good for his neighbor. Woe is unto the wicked and woe is unto his neighbor. So there's an idea of getting influence from your neighbor. It's brought in halacha. The Rambam brings it, I think. Yeah, it says derech briyasei shel adam liyes nimshach bede'esav v'maisav achar reya v'chaverav. People are influenced by their nature. their mindsets, their deyasav, what resonates with them, what drives them, that's das. Deyasav, a person is drawn after the mindsets of who they expose themselves to. So the law of neighbors is very important. You know, there's many laws about respect for your neighbor's property and all that. But first, I want to get into this Gemara. It's a fascinating Gemara about a young lady named Bilga. And we're going to see how this monkey business comes into play here. Because this idea of why punish this poor girl who had a traumatic upbringing, you know, stripped away from her family and her culture. She ends up converting to a not Jewish religion and marrying like a general or something like that, who comes, you know, and is destroying the Holy Temple and everything in the Yerushalayim. And his daughter, Bilga, screams out to God, wolf, he calls him. He says, why do you take, he says, wolf, wolf, until when will you consume the property of the Jewish people, and yet you do not stand with them when they face exigent circumstances? I don't know what that means. They're going to be excised. And after the victory of the Hasmonaim over the Greeks, when the sages heard about this matter and how she denigrated in the altar, she hit the altar with her sandal. Oops. The ring of Bilga watch in they fixed. Okay, they punished her family. They were family. She came from Kahanim. The priests had a lot of functions that were very practical in the Holy Temple. Like when you go to Lavdil, to the gym, you have a locker, you put your stuff in there. They had kept their stuff there. And they made it difficult as the punishment for this girl for hitting the altar. She did this in sympathy with the Jewish people here. Okay, but still, they thought it was a disgrace. Still. And they punished not only her, but rather not even her. They punished her upbringing. They punished her parents. That's the monkey business here. That's to say, what the kids do is your responsibility. You brought them up. What influence were you on them that they could say things that are insulting of God's creation? Whoever it is, humanity, how much more so? The cream of... It only says by a Jew that if he doesn't do what Hashem wants, he's as bad as a gnat or a mosquito, because they just take in, they don't give. They give nothing. That would be that horrible if you deny God. Okay, so I'm going to keep this Gemara short. It goes on. I'm going to keep it a bit short. I'm just having fun today. I mean, this Sikha, I learned this from Rabbi Gorelik, Levi Gorelik. On the yeshiva done that, and he did a really good job with it, and really full job with this. It's a Sikha, it's a long Sikha. It's a Hadron. The Rebbe is making a siyum, I think, in the Sukkah, because this is the final part, this Gemara. So he relates this. So since they punish, let me read the final word then. In the Gemara it says, yes, here it actually says it explicitly in the Gemara. This whole idea of monkey business. The Gemara clarifies, granted, according to the one who said that Bilga was penalized because members of his watch tarried in arriving at the temple. That was reason number one. Then we give another reason in the Gemara, which is what we mentioned. That is why the entire watch is penalized. However, according to the one who said, it is due to Miriam, daughter of Bilga. Did I call her Bilga? Her name was Miriam Bas Bilga. Pardon me. Okay, I'm going to make those novice mistakes. Miriam Bas Bilga. Why does mine say Bilga? Okay, I just saw that at the top of the page. It's Miriam Bas Bilga. Pardon me. Miriam Bas Bilga, who apostatized we penalized the entire watch of Bilga. So they made it inconvenient for them to slaughter the animals. They had to borrow, the ring that sort of kept the animal in place while they slaughtered it. Theirs was closed. They had 24 watches. Theirs ring was closed. They had to borrow from someone else. And also their clothes, where they kept their garments and everything, their knives, it was in their locker, and theirs was closed. They had to borrow locker space from rent the locker space from their friends, which is pretty cool. So Miriam Bas Bilga, why are we penalizing all of her relatives because of this. They have to go through an inconvenience because of her. Abaye said, yes, as people say, the speech of a child in the marketplace is learned either from that of his mother or from that of his father or that of his mother. Miriam would never have said such things had she not heard talk of this kind in her parents' home. That's their explanation of that. Okay. Rashi says, Eile Rasha v'eile Shcheinai, which is the words that we're focusing on. Woe is unto the wicked and woe is unto his neighbor. P'teres kanim tanya v'choltzu es avonim naga be'evan shmeksua shneim choltzim. Okay, it's a complicated law about a certain heavenly sign that appeared in their houses, and they had to uproot that part of the house. And if it shared a neighboring wall with someone else, you'd still take it out because of this effect on neighbors, right? Not everyone is Mr. Rogers, so okay, you have to watch how you're affected. If you're beside someone who has a miraculous sign on his house that has to be uprooted from his house as a correction for something, it's a message from God that this person has to correct his behaviors with his neighbors, actually, speaking bad about them or whatever. So therefore, it affects his neighbor's wall. It could, if they're both linked. Okay, so the question is, we have a fascinating idea brought from the Megale Amukais. He says that Elul is Rosh Hashanah, not only Anila Deidi V'Deidi Li, the month of Elul that we're in now, is I'm to my beloved and my beloved is to me. That's the 1,000 wives of Shlomo Melech, right? This lover par excellence who not only had 1,000 wives but wrote a romance about one God and one Jewish people. Okay? So the same person is romanticizing the idea of the perfect monogamous relationship. That is fascinating. So not only in Elul, the month of Elul, when we're coming close to God and making a soul accounting, not only is it Rosh Hashanah, the acronym for Anila Deidi V'Deidi Li, I'm to my beloved is to me, but also says the Megale Amukais that it's Rosh Hashanah's Eile Rasha v'eile Shcheinai. And you're going to think, okay, what does it mean? Woe is unto the wicked and woe is unto his neighbor. You're going to say that means that what? Elul is affected by what? Tishrei? Or what's wrong with Elul that we have to say woe unto the Rasha? That's how we're going to mark this. This is a symbol for this month. It's about a wicked neighbor. Woe unto the neighbor of a wicked person. What's it talking about? Because it's Menachem Av, the month of mourning. So the Rebbe in the Sikha brings a Zayar, which I actually have translated here. Not by me. It's pretty complicated, so I don't know. I'm just going to read a few lines from it, okay? It's pretty hard. It darshans the word ta'imim in connection with dividing the great people of the Chumash up into organizing the zodiac around the year. Different months have associations with different characteristics. Okay, one of them is Taimim, twins. My father is Gemini, for example. Oh, that's different. Is Gemini is the scales, or twins is the scales also? How do you represent the twins? Is it as twins, like a picture of little stick figures? Or is it the scale? Isn't it the scale? Anyways, in Torah it has to do with twins, but who do you think the twins are in the Torah? Yaakov and Esav? No, it's not so. The twins are not Yaakov and Esav. Jacob and Esau. Is that how you pronounce it in English? It's not them, because when you write Ta'imim twins, the word is missing. When it's written in the Torah, it's missing an aleph. So something's missing there, and it's not Esav, who was his twin. His twins were his father and grandfather, rather. That's who he twins up with. Okay, so you have a double twinning there. Each of his children had twins, right? They were born with at least one sister, each of the Shvatim. Interestingly, he was known for Mitasha Shlema in all ways, right? He had a complete bed, the most prolific of all the Avos, the patriarchs. So Jacob is associated with 2 months, Nisan and Iyar, as his. Those are his months. He's twins. He gets 2 months. and is therefore within the symbolism of the twins, while Esav months are Tammuz and Av. He gets his twin months. Well, what happens to those months? Watch. Tammuz and Av. Those are his twin months. And only 9 days in Av. He doesn't get the full month of Av, right? So it can be seen that he is not included in the twins. So it's not Esav. Esav's not one of the twins. It's Yaakov and the Avos. Okay, that's what I wanted to read you. Because the Rebbe cites that here. Because it has to do with the idea of the neighboring months. So the Rebbe brings out from this, it's really talking about, it's not criticizing Tishrei. In fact, it's not even criticizing Elul. Elul is not, we're not saying woe unto the wicked and woe unto its neighbor. We're not saying anything bad about Elul. We're not saying anything bad about Tishrei, nor of the preceding month of Elul. They're all not being criticized here according to the way the Rebbe understands it, because it's Oy Veisteif Tsar. The word Oyd, it doesn't say what you think it would say. Because the flip side of this is what the Chachamim teach also, the sages teach us also. Taiv l'tzadik v'taiv l'shchenai. Good to the tzaddik and good to his neighbor. So the flip side should have been Ra l'rasha v'ra l'shchenai. So this should have said the flip side of good is bad. Not, whoa, what is it? That's not a word. That's a sound, the Rebbe says. That's a sound. What's the sound? It's the sound of pain. And where do you have that sound of pain? That's in the month of Elul. When a person starts to cry from hearing something bitter, let's say, chas v'shalom, it should only be tears of joy. But when a person goes into a wail and in something that's difficult for them, can't deny there's challenges to people in life. People have bitter conflict in their life, and they have to overcome it. But the way to do that Anani Merkur, we say. Right? You called out Karasi. What do we say? Well, Thanksgiving. Anani Merkur is anyways the end, which is the point here, is that you by crying out you're going to be answered in Merchav, in expansiveness. Karasi Merkur Anani, no. Oh, it's Harasi? Ashin Metzarim? I don't know. Okay, everyone. You can type it just as fast as I could think it, okay? It's your fault too. Oy means tsar. So when it says oy, it doesn't mean bad is the wicked, bad to his neighbor. It's not just writing off even Esav in a way. We sort of push Esav aside for the Avos. We bring him in his place. It's the transformation of Esav in a sense. Esav is known as a Yisrael Mumar. He's a Jew that went off the path in a really bad way, in all three horrible ways: murder, adultery, and idolatry, and murder. Okay, so like all the three big whammies he's got against him. So if we can redeem him, I don't know. I've heard of teaching that's why Yaakov dressed up in Esav's garments, to show that it's a Jew that looks like that outwardly, because inside every Jew might look like Esav. That's the Yisrael Mumar on the outside, but really every single Yid, Kol Yisrael Yesh Lam Chelik Le'elam Haba, it says. Every single Jew, and the Rebbe goes on to explain how every single Jew, even the ones the exceptions to the rules, the Rebbe finds a way to incorporate them also. And it's fascinating. I translated at length in the summer, I think last year. It's a letter the Rebbe wrote, very long, very in depth, and the Rebbe, you just see the love of the Rebbe. It's incredible. So that's the neighbor you want. So the Rebbe says that when we say woe unto the month of Elul, we're not criticizing Elul. It's not just because it's a bitter month doesn't mean it's not. We excited about it. The king is in the field. It's an opportunity to correct yourself. You go out from the desert into the field where the king is. The king is in your productive life in the 6 workday weeks, days of the week. So the cry is the shofar in Elul. That's the cry. So that actually, it's the shviras hara. You shatter the evil, and it gets, let's say, reconstructed into something useful. Because we're not, this is, okay, we've spoken at length about Rabbi Shimon's ruling that the harmful animals in the future to come are going to be declawed, denuded. So the fact that it's Menachem Av is the Shechen, the Shechen, the neighbor of Elul. And Elul has this cry, which is not saying that it's bad. It's saying it has a power to transform through crying out from the depths, from making a soul accounting and saying, I'm going to be better in these areas. I'm just going to cry out like a lion, if not a shefer with a cry. If you're not going to cry out like a whimpering, bumbling, crushed person, cry out like a lion. It's the same energy, really, in some ways. Same type of You could interpret that both ways. The more sad sound is more like the shofar. Like it's like rather than a roar. You would like bang a gong or something. That would be more majestic and lion-like. Different sound. But anyways, you get, by being the neighbor of Elul and that transformation associated with Elul, it transforms its neighbor also. And Menachem Av, our preceding month that we're coming from, it becomes Menachem Av, the consoling month of Av. Not just a father, but a consoling father. Av means father. And that's why, it's even brought in halacha in the Korban Nisanel, that then you only have to not go to take to court a Gentile, for example, because the muzzle, the spiritual association with the month of Av is negative. So you're not supposed to go to court and have conflict with people, Gentiles in particular, like someone who's not your neighbor. Don't go to conflict with such a person. But that only applies according to the Korban Nisanel, which is the commentary, I think, on the Rush. And he says that only applies the first 9 days. From then on, it's all good from there. And therefore, the month takes on the majority of the month. There is therefore a consoling month. And it's therefore Menachem Av. The whole month is transformed. And Elul itself is the month of Rachamim, mercy. That's why we're doing tshuva now, right? It says here that, Av is Meriris. Haveda de Meriris. V'chedesh Elul, this is in a footnote. The month of Elul, Haveda miteich simcha. Elul is a Veda from joy. It's not what you think. That the cry of the shofar is a cry of joy. Here's my source, okay? I was right. And now I have my source. It's a cry of joy. Chaydish Elul, the Aveda Meteich Simcha. And that's why the sages say both sides of the equation. Because you transform the negativity of the month, that the month itself becomes menachem, a consolation. And that's the power of Elul, the power of mercy. When you have mercy upon others, and you're a good neighbor, let's say, that's the model here. You're a good neighbor, okay? But that means a lot. People that you come into contact with, how do you respect their property? How do you respect them? How do you treat them with dignity and grace? Do you invite them to your barbecues? That's a cool thing to do. So you get the flip side of it too. You could transform it's not Rala Rasha, bad to the wicked. We say woe to the wicked because the wicked has to recognize when you want to be a balabais of your house, you want to be the owner of your house, recognize who you are. And if you have to scream that out of you, do it in Elul. Now we're in Elul already. Okay, now we do it through joy. So you're a lion roaring. I just found my source. I'm going to look for that later. I'm going to lose it and help me find it. I didn't even tell you. Look at these things you test. I don't know. I think I just lost my bookmark. So if Menachem Av is the bitterness, the cry of bitterness, and the shofar, remez yesh b'davar. The tshuva, there's no mitzvah of tshuva in the Torah, but we have in the shofar we don't see the tshuva. The shofar, Rambam writes, is associated with tshuva, but there's a remez. We have I think, because there's a verse that says that the cry of the shofar, what makes you arouse mercy, isn't like these sheep. The braying of the sheep is like the cry. And the sheep that replaces Yitzchak and the ashes of Yitzchak stand before us in mercy on Yom Kippur. Ultimately, that's the ultimate symbol. Okay, that resonates with like global mindsets of the suffering of others. But Yitzchak incorporated all of the Jewish people in him, and his ashes were not a sacrifice. He didn't even have to sacrifice. He was ready to, the willingness of the Jew is what we focus on. We don't want to be obliterated into ashes. That's the joy of Elul, the going out into the field, the dancing in the vineyards that I've been speaking about. That's the simcha of Elul, the transformation, the cry of the shofar. It's tears of joy also. Even if they are bitter tears because you regret things, even if they are. Now it's cleansing, it's very purifying. And it's going to make you roar like a lion. If you felt it, it sometimes comes and goes. Yeah, so you're human. The moon waxes and wanes, doesn't it? There's a zenith of art. There's the Shleima Melech. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. That's my bedtime. Okay, everyone, I'm not going to bore you with idle rant. Unless someone types something, then I'll do all idle rant with you. No, people are pretty quiet today. Maybe the sound wasn't on this whole time, and I'm just like miming the whole thing. Because I don't know, what is it called? Can't even think how to say that word. When you speak with your hands, I have to learn how to speak my hands, so I do, because I can't speak English. That's what you're thumbing me up about? Does anyone remember where the thumbs up started from? Didn't start from like George Bush or like Obama. Like the politician style. Hey, it's Arthur Fonzarelli. You get certain people that are a bit freaky and they identify with these characters. Have you ever met someone? Or maybe they just portray that in other Hollywood depictions. Okay, so my previous rant was about Shlomo. Did I finish this topic? The neighbor thing? How can we sum it up? What unique thought do we bring out from this? That there's a transformation associated with neighbors, and that extends beyond like the positive influence, but there's the effects of Esav also. If he's going to be associated with the month of Av, we have the power to transform that. Really, as it applies to a Jew, we see that just as the external, and we have to bring out. So that's why I always talk about health. Just bring out the health that exists within you, okay, and see the beauty within the person. I know people that lost. I know a guy. I played hockey with him. He weighed like 500 pounds. Okay, I'm not joking. He was he literally looked round like a cartoon character, and he was so graceful on skates. You cannot believe it. Just like Meatloaf is graceful with the way he sings, not in the way he gestures, but in the way he sings with such passion. This big, heavy guy, and with just so much enthusiasm. This guy played hockey. He would spin around like a top, literally, like Humpty Dumpty spin, but so graceful. Nobody could touch him. And he scored a lot. He had the hardest slap shot you could have possibly imagined. And he lost like 400 pounds or something huge like that. And he looked really good looking. Okay? I've seen that. And Newport, I mentioned that I had a boarder that stayed at me. He lost like 110 pounds. I don't know, something crazy. New person. New presence. It's unbelievable. People can transform themselves. This is one example. It means in every. I mean, most people suffer anxiety. I don't think weight is the main problem today. I think it's anxiety. I think people have voices in their head that they're not even their voices. I don't mean voices like da 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 in your head. I mean that values that they take on, they do it in deference to their neighbor. The people that they encounter, they take on their mindset, literally. And those become voices. That's why I just use the word voices to describe that. The voices in your head that try and compel your behavior. So a lot that exists on community basis, obviously, as well. Societal, communal. People's the way that they react, kamayim apanim lapanim, like water reflects the face. Ken ben ha'adam lechavere. Did I get it right? I never quote the end of it because I don't really know it. As water, it always is shortened to as water reflects the face. Okay, it's 10:05. If I'm only gonna see Spanish, someone's gonna have to translate it. It's not giving me that option. So the neighbor, one word for the neighbor. What are we gonna say about the neighbor? Transformation. I don't know. I just said something wise. So we'll back it up, the tape, and take out a banner from there. Don't even remember. Because I'm getting tired. This is the end of my share, and I'm like, okay, I might as well just say a respectful before. It's not dignified to just that's it. Maybe I think it's dignified. I would hang out with everybody. That's what I was talking about before, about the way these voices appear. Because I personally would hang out with the whole world and just I'd have a beer with you, have a cigarette with you. I don't care. What, am I going to be arrested for that? Is this communist Russia? Have fun. But have fun because God is here. What is our whole purpose? What is our reward for serving God, having a partnership with God? Lachzais b'nayim Hashem. To behold the splendor of God. That's what we get out of the deal. That's why we're partners in the creation itself. That post over there, the molecules in that post, that's what the Rebbe says. I wouldn't have the audacity to say that. But it comes from Raman Chazal about, whoever testifies, and it says V'yachulu Friday night, it's revealed in them, I think, or they see, I can't remember the exact term, that they are partners in creation. So that post, that tree, that leaf, okay, yeah. Dark Phoenix. Okay, have a great day, everyone. It's awesome hanging out with you.